Having rules are critical, enabling us to have a secure and safe environment within our work, life and at home. Watching this video clip will help you to understand the rule of law in its simplest form.
It's time to now look at our next value, which is the rule of law. Now, you might already know a little bit about law, maybe the people who protect the law, or even the courthouses that make justice happen, which is why you see these scales on the front of it. They're balancing out justice. Or maybe you even know fictional characters which tend to break the law. But in Britain, what does it mean? It means the need to have rules to make a safe and secure environment for everyone to work, which is why laws are passed in Parliament to make things like society work better and legislation. Recent laws which have been passed include things like the Equality and Diversity Act of 2010. We also can look at the Housing Act of 1996. And more recently, the Digital Economy Act of 2017. You can actually look at every law from 1801 to 2018, which is available at legislation.gov.uk. But how do we actually make a law? Well, it starts by passing a bill, which is usually made by your elected MP, who actually then sits in the House of Commons. This is the house in which you elect MPs for. Now, it then goes to the House of Lords, which they say if they agree or they don't agree. And from time to time, it will ping pong between the two houses until they reach an agreement and it's given the stamp of approval. Well, not that stamp. And then it goes to royal assent, where the Queen is able to sign it off. But you should note that, well, no one is above the law, and the law protects everyone in the country. And laws in the UK are fair and clear. And remember that above everything, innocence until proven guilty. But let's have a look at laws in our daily life. Well, we have things like employment law and laws which protect you and give you a good place to work, to also laws which make you feel safe in your working environment. And that's why it's important to have the rule of law and why the UK trusts it as one of our 4 fundamental British values.
As a citizen who lives in Britain, it is essential that the law is followed, and this is called the rule of law, which is part of the fundamental British values. By following the law, an individual should have an understanding of the consequences of illegal or negative behaviours and know the difference between correct behaviours and actions that may be morally wrong. This is not just about one individual, but the rule of law affects the whole of society and everyone within it. Furthermore, knowing about these morals and how behaviour is influenced can help people to identify what the consequences of such behaviours might be. There is a term, principle of equality. This is a fundamental element of human rights law and means all people must be treated equally without discrimination before the law. There is a strong link between citizenship, education and the rule of law. By learning about citizenship in the national curriculum, it can help people understand the difference between right and wrong. When looking further into the link of rule of law and citizenship, it has several aspects to its definition, such as for people to act honestly and fairly, to respect the laws of the country and have an understanding of human rights, dignity and equal opportunities for all. With regard to the rule of law in education, schools are instructed to do the following, but please bear in mind these principles go far beyond school and the education system and can be applied to all places of work. So, help students to understand what is considered right and wrong behaviour by respecting laws in place within the UK. Help students to develop their self-confidence, their self-esteem and their own knowledge of the world. Students are encouraged to think for themselves and to understand and be responsible for anything that they have done wrong, but also understand that they can contribute to society in a positive way. Ensure that students have an understanding of why the rule of law is in place and how it helps to protect citizens' health, safety and well-being. The 9 protected characteristics are age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage, civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex and sexual orientation. Workplaces will have rigid recruitment processes which will ensure the process is fair and robust in line with the Equality Act 2010 and the 9 protected characteristics are recognised and embraced.
Meet Paul Ina. Paul Ina is a man, woman, Hindu, Jew, Christian, Muslim, pregnant, breastfeeding, gay, bisexual, pansexual, asexual, wheelchair-using, married, civilly partnered, unmarried, black, white, Asian, Polish, English, Swahili, gender reassigning, atheist Welshman with a skin condition. Paul Ina is also a valued and welcome employee of our company, and we believe in equality, diversity and inclusion of everyone in every way we can think of. It is illegal in Britain to discriminate on the grounds of age, disability, sex, sexual orientation, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, religion or belief, race or gender reassignment. But discrimination comes in many forms. There's direct discrimination. Paul Ina doesn't get promoted because she's older, or her boss thinks it might be a problem for other people that she's older. But there's also indirect discrimination, where a policy applies to everyone but has a disproportionate impact on some people. For instance, if a job ad specifies that applicants should be clean-shaven, it indirectly discriminates against Paul Ina because his belief doesn't allow him to shave. Then there's associative discrimination, discriminating against someone who is associated with a protected group. So if Paul Ina's disabled father needs special care, the company can't discriminate against Paul Ina because she needs to take time off to care for her father. Finally, there's perception discrimination. So if Paul Ina dresses and acts in a way that makes people think she's gay, even though she's not, she can't be discriminated against. Not for being gay, and not for not being gay. Discrimination sometimes takes the form of harassment or bullying. These can include threats, jokes, gestures, aggressive physical behaviour, as well as repeated behaviour a person has previously objected to. Under no circumstances will the company tolerate harassment or bullying. Equality legislation also applies to pay, benefits and training opportunities. So if Paul Ina, a gender reassigning bloke from Bolton, does exactly the same job as Paul Ina, an Essex girl who owns a llama, they should be paid the same, get the same benefits and access to the same training. We take equality and diversity very seriously, not just because we have to, but because we believe in it. If you would like a better understanding of equality and diversity, you can find out more about it on the intranet. Thanks for listening. Thanks from us, and from Paul Ina, the breastfeeding, gender reassigning gay Morris dancer from Hertfordshire, who would say thank you himself but can't, as she's completely deaf and can only use sign language.
It is expected that all employees conduct themselves in a professional manner with all those they interact with. All employees should consider their own behaviour and the impact that this can have on those around them. Personalities, characters and management styles may differ, but regardless of these differences, it is important to demonstrate respect, working collaboratively, display professionalism, embrace change, support colleagues, willingly help out, respond positively to feedback, and adhere to companies' policies and procedures. There are generic legislations which are relevant across every place of work. These include the Health and Safety at Work Act, the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health, the Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations, the Manual Handling Operations Regulations, Data Protection Act and the GDPR law, and you've got the Equality Act 2010. These can all be accessed on the resources page. There is also a link to the legislation gov.uk website. Why not have some fun and look up a legislation that was written around about the time that legislations were first implemented back in 1801 and compare to life as we know it now. At the end of this video there will be a quiz section, and as part of that you will be able to write your findings. Whatever sector you work within, the rule of law needs to be upheld and promoted. For the staff, they need to follow extensive safeguarding, health and safety and any other laws specific to the sector. Failure to comply with legislation at work, for example the health and safety requirements, can have serious consequences for both the organisation and the individual. Sanctions can include fines, imprisonment and disqualification. Failing to comply with policies, procedures and legislations is a serious offence. So it is vital as an employee you have read and understood all of your policies and procedures and adhere to them, and ensure you are knowledgeable and confident with those within your sector of work. Thank you for watching this video on Rule of Law. I hope you have found it beneficial.